For the longest time, I wondered, how can I make it to the next step? My goal was to make it to the top. I didn't really know what the top was at the time, but I knew that's where I wanted to go, whatever that meant. I started playing the piano when I was 3. At the time, I lived on a tiny little French island off the coast of South Africa. By the time I was 15, I was teaching piano. I still knew I wanted more, so one day the opportunity came at my conservatory. The director came up to me and said, "Hey Geraldine, we've got this opportunity to go study in the United States for 1 year, and we think it'd be a great opportunity for you. What do you say?" And I was like, "Sign me up, I'm in." Got on the plane, landed in Michigan where the school was, and realized in about an hour that I did not speak English, did I? So I took a couple months to figure that one out. I had gone to school for classical music. I had this goal to make it on Broadway, but I was like, maybe there's other paths I'm not thinking about. So I went on Google, like we all do, and I tried to find books, articles, videos, anything really to find answers to my questions, and I found nothing. Sure, there was an interview here or there, but nothing really that laid it out the way I needed it to be laid out for me. So I decided I would contact the A-list players in the music industry, the top of the top. We're talking people who have played for Blake Shelton, Katy Perry, Sting, people who have played on TV, SNL, American Idol, and they gave me really amazing advice that I had never heard before, things that I just couldn't find elsewhere. That's when I thought, okay, I'm sure other people would be interested in this wonderful advice they're giving me. Why should I keep it to myself? So I contacted literary agents and sent a first email to one agent who turned me down, second one turned me down, third one turned me down, 20 turned me down, 100. 100 agents said no. They said it's a great idea, but it's a little bit too much of a niche for us to take that risk. Well, we've all heard a million times it's important to persevere, and it's true, but who exactly has explained what it is to persevere? I mean, we all know it has something to do with time, but how do we know if, the waiting and the years we're spending on something are leading to completion of our goals or are just leading nowhere? To persevere means that the overarching movement of our career is moving forward. While to stall is just to kind of stay put somewhere a little bit too long and just staying there instead of progressing. The way we get confused sometimes is we have this idea that to move forward is this direct pathway that just looks like this, but actually it's like a graph. It's like we go up and down. It's true in the music industry. It's true in many industries nowadays. And so to know if you're having a forward motion is actually, you're going to start here, say, so of course there's going to be ups and downs, but then it's going to do this at the same time. And that's really what we want to look at. And maybe it's still going to go down a lot, but overall it's looking up. And that's really important, because what happens if you're stalling is that you're going to do this, and then you're going to be like, well, I found my groove, I'm here, I'm good. And so the question to ask is, one, am I persevering or am I stalling? And if it looks like I may be stalling, then in that case, what is something I can do so I can move things a little bit forward? I finally got the call to play for my first Broadway show. That was on the town on Broadway. I got to play in the orchestra, and that day was literally one of the best days of my life. And there was such a real possibility that it would not happen, that the day it actually did felt like the biggest weight was lifted off my shoulders. One of my favorite quotes is by the Bengali philosopher Haridas Choudhury. He says, "The greater the emphasis upon perfection, the further it recedes." We don't actually sit down and think, well, what does it mean for me to be perfect? Is perfection for me to never make a mistake? And that's where it can tip a little bit from an attempt to be really good and the best we can be to perfectionism, which is hurtful. The reason it's hurtful is because it comes from us thinking other people, usually our bosses, we think, what do they want from us beyond what is already expressed? And that's where we get tripped up, because now we have these imaginations of what other people want of us. We're trying to match that in the hope that we would get rewards from it, such as being respected, getting a promotion. But those rewards were imagined as well. So then what's the alternative? The opposite of that is to still keep our drive, but now really work with your own high-level bar for yourself, because at the end of the day, no one knows what level you're at better than yourself. You know if you're meeting your potential today. After that, things kind of snowballed, and then one day I get another call and it says, "Hey, Geraldine, do you want to conduct Kinky Boots on Broadway?" Well, yes, I do. I really do. Please sign me up. And I got to do that. I got to conduct Kinky Boots on Broadway, and that was just such a rush. I mean, you're in front of the stage and there's thousands of people behind you, and the orchestra is there, and by that point they're your friends, everybody's cheering you on. It's the best feeling. The thing I learned from the interviews I did for badass musicians, one that really stuck with me is the difference between success and self-realization. We often have this idea that success looks a certain way. We think if I get this job or if I get this promotion, then I'm gonna get these other things I'm looking for. Maybe it's respect, maybe it's power. But what happens is that while you're doing it and trying to make your way there, it's not really fun because, you know, you're not feeling those things you'd like to be already feeling. And then once you get there, well, it wasn't part of the job description that you'd get those things in the first place. So then you're likely to get disappointed and realize you're not getting those things you were hoping just by having the position. But self-realization is when you do something because it's fulfilling something inside. It can be because it's fulfilling because we're growing, which means the process can be a little bit painful or a little bit uncomfortable for sure. But it's fulfilling, it's satisfying something inside. And what happens is that the process gets more fun because we're doing things for the sake of themselves. You know, you can go for success and just feel disappointed, but if you go through self-realization, you're gonna end up having that and feel successful, because the question at the end of the day is, if from the outside you look like a success, but you don't feel like a success, then are you actually successful? That's when I realized, oh my gosh, if you really follow this advice, it really does work. I could share this information with other people, and maybe I can try this book thing one more time, and instead of going to literary agents first, I'm gonna try publishers right away. And little do you know, I got 2 publishers immediately interested in it, and one of them I knew was the one I would sign with was Bob Babcock at Deeds Publishing, because after he read the manuscript, he said to me, "Geraldine, I know other people told you this was too much of a niche, but here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this book is not just for musicians at all. It's for anyone who wants to make it in any competitive field, because I'm not a musician and I got stuff out of this book you sent me." And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, he's right. There's something here that's important for more than musicians, for anyone who wants to break in and make it in the music industry and in any competitive field as well. And so I'm doing talks as well, so people can read about it and hear about it, and everyone can make their dreams come true and get to have that feeling that I got that day when I made it on Broadway too.